How do ordinary people give up their families, their identities, and ultimately, their lives, for a belief? In 1997, 39 people willingly participated in one of the most shocking mass suicides in modern history. They believed they were leaving Earth behind and boarding a spacecraft hidden behind a comet. This is the story of Heaven's Gate, a story about belief, manipulation, isolation, and the terrifying power of the human mind. The Heaven's Gate cult emerged during the 1970s, a time when spiritual experimentation, New Age philosophies, and alternative belief systems were rapidly gaining popularity. At the center of it all were two people, Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. Together, they created one of the strangest and most tragic movements in modern history. Marshall Applewhite grew up in a deeply religious environment. Bonnie Nettles came from a background rich in spiritual exploration. When they met, they believed their connection was destiny. Soon, they adopted new identities, Do and T. And together they claimed they had discovered a higher truth. Their teachings combined elements of Christianity, science fiction, mysticism, New Age spirituality. They taught that Earth was flawed, temporary, corrupt, and that salvation could only be found by ascending to what they called the next level. This is the question many people ask: why would anyone believe this? The answer is more complicated than it seems. Many followers were searching for meaning, purpose, connection, answers to life's biggest questions. And Heaven's Gate offered certainty. Cults rarely recruit people through force. They recruit through emotional needs, belonging, identity, community, purpose. The group becomes a solution to loneliness and uncertainty. And that's where the danger begins. One of the most powerful tools used by cult leaders is dependency. Followers are taught that only the group has the answers. Only the leader understands the truth. Only the organization can provide salvation. Gradually, independent thinking disappears. Heaven's Gate systematically isolated members. Not just physically, but emotionally and socially. Friends became distractions. Family became obstacles. Outside opinions became threats. The group became the entire world. When people lose contact with alternative viewpoints, beliefs become harder to challenge. Reality becomes whatever the group says it is. And questioning authority begins to feel dangerous. This psychological isolation strengthens control. The leaders didn't simply tell followers what to think. They reshaped how followers understood reality itself. Fear, hope, spiritual longing, existential anxiety, all were carefully woven into the group's belief system. What made Heaven's Gate unique was its embrace of technology. During the 1990s, they built a strong online presence, using websites and digital communication to spread their message. Long before social media existed, they understood the power of reaching people through the internet. Then came Hale-Bopp, a comet visible in Earth's skies during 1997. The group became convinced that a spacecraft was hidden behind it, and they believed that leaving their physical bodies was necessary to board that ship. Members prepared carefully. They believed they weren't dying. They believed they were evolving, ascending, graduating to a higher existence. To them, death wasn't an ending, it was a transition. In their final days, members gathered together, sharing meals, discussing their mission, reinforcing their collective beliefs. Everything was organized, purposeful, calm, which makes the tragedy even more unsettling. March 1997, 39 members ended their lives together, believing they were leaving Earth behind forever. The event shocked the world, and instantly became one of the most infamous cult tragedies in history. Many people want a simple explanation, but there isn't one. The tragedy emerged from a combination of psychological manipulation, isolation, groupthink, dependency, and absolute belief. No single factor explains everything. Together, they created a powerful system of control. Inside tightly controlled groups, individual judgment often disappears. People begin trusting the group more than themselves, more than family, more than evidence. And once that happens, extreme actions become possible. At its core, the Heaven's Gate story reveals something deeply human. People need meaning, purpose, belonging, hope, and when those needs go unmet, dangerous ideologies can become appealing. For storytellers and true crime writers, this case teaches powerful lessons about charismatic leaders, group psychology, manipulation and control, identity and belonging, the dangers of unquestioned belief. Because the most frightening stories often involve ordinary people making extraordinary decisions. Even decades later, Heaven's Gate remains a case study in psychology, sociology, and human behavior. Researchers continue studying it, not to understand evil, but to understand vulnerability. The Heaven's Gate tragedy forces us to ask how much of what we believe comes from evidence, and how much comes from our need to belong. That question remains relevant today, perhaps more than ever. The story of Heaven's Gate isn't just about a cult. It's about human psychology, the search for meaning, and the dangers that arise when belief becomes stronger than reality. If you want more true crime, psychology, and storytelling breakdowns like this, subscribe, because sometimes the most disturbing mysteries aren't about what people did, they're about why they believed it was the right thing to do.